Good evening and welcome. I'm Roy Blitzer, and our show is Ask Dr. Business. The purpose of our time together is to provide information and insight and hopefully make your work life a little better. The desired outcome is this information is going to help you not only to make your work life better, but to give you satisfaction and happiness on the job. We're very fortunate this evening to continue our series on part-time jobs. And we have with us Amaryon Bates, who is a professional model as a part-time job, and he's going to talk to us about his life in that arena. But first, I want to encourage you to call. The phone number here is 650-856-1491. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
I'm very pleased to have you here, and I'd like you to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, where did you from, and when you're not a professional model, what is your other sort of job?
Well, I'm from Sacramento, California. It's really a family-oriented city. I grew up playing sports like most guys, and if it wasn't sports, a lot of people, they use alternative routes, and I felt sports was the best direction for me. I ended up getting a scholarship to Menlo College, and I was working at this store called Michael Kors, and working there, I ended up always getting...
This is the Stanford Shopping Center?
This is at Stanford Shopping Center, yes. And customers always would talk to me, say, hey, you should model, hey, you should model.
In other words, they were giving you compliments on how you looked.
Yeah.
How were your sales?
My sales were actually great. I had the best sales for a seasonal position at Michael Kors, yeah.
And that was a part-time job as well?
Yes.
Okay,
sir.
so they kept on saying you looked great and you should model. Then what did you do?
So, one day I decided, hey, I might as well just check it out. I did a little research online, and I learned about the industry. I learned about different modeling agencies in San Francisco, and I just chose one at random, shot in the dark. And
did you look up at their profitability and did you look at their model list? Did you see who looked like they were?
A little bit, yeah. I did a little searching. I looked at the different models they had listed at different agencies. There's another model. He's from Sacramento, and he signed with a different agency that I'm with now. But I really thought his path was interesting because, he became a star, and so I took a shot, chose an agency at random, and sent in some headshots, just shots I had with friends, and I got a call.
So it wasn't a professional portfolio?
No, not at all, not at all. I didn't plan on any modeling to happen when I sent in the headshots. I just shot in the dark.
From your camera, from your iPhone?
A couple iPhone pictures and some professional camera, like a Canon, but just shots with friends, not like an actual studio setting. Nothing I didn't pay for professional headshots.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got a call. They're like, hey, this is Look Model Agency. My agent is Al. He's no longer with the agency, but he says, hey, we love your look. Why don't you just come out and meet with us?
Just like that. This is like getting a job on the internet.
Just
almost
like
impossible.
That. Yeah. And so, I took a risk. A lot of people were like, hey, it might be a scam. But so I took a friend with me, went down to the agency. And
this is like dating on the internet. You didn't know what you were going to get on the other end.
A little bit. I definitely think I took a risk. And it was about the risk over reward. I wanted to see what it was about. I was really interested.
Well, let's see if we can take a risk with our audience. I want to remind everyone to please call in. The phone number is 650-856-1491. Our series for the last month was part-time jobs, and Amaryon Bates is here. He's a student at college, but also he has a gig as a professional model, and he's talking about how he got into the business. Okay, so you go to San Francisco, then what?
And I go into the agency. It's on the 14th floor of a tall building looking over the whole city. It was pretty breathtaking. Yeah, impressive. And so I met with the agent, and he pretty much told me how it worked. A person who wants to be a model will, if they can get the look or if they can get hired by the agency, they'll sign a contract for 2 years.
Now, did he look like a model, or was just like an average guy?
He seemed, he just seemed like a pretty average guy. He was dressed in a suit, so he looked pretty professional, and it was in an actual office space, so it seemed legit. It seemed legit at the time.
He wasn't gonna mug you.
Yeah, it was definitely a risk. It was definitely a risk with meeting random strangers,
But you had the friend with you.
Yeah, but I
hope he was a big friend.
With me. Yeah, I took a friend with me, and right there, they told me how everything worked. They gave me a contract. They let me read it. They told me I can take it home, look it over for a few days.
Gee, that's
we talked for about 15 to 20 minutes, yeah.
And then what?
And so at Menlo College, I was in a class called business law. And in this class, we learned about contracts and different articles and, how business transaction works on a client basis. And so,
A live lab you had there.
yeah, exactly. I just used my resources, and the contract seemed legit. It just said 2 years, and my agency gets 20% of every job I make. And so after looking it over myself, I had my professor look it over, but it
Good.
seemed legit to me, and he was like, yeah, it is what it says. I interpreted it correctly. He was like, if you want to take the risk, all you do
And
it.
you
Go
did
for
this while still working at the mall
at Michael Kors,
and
and
still
this is,
being a student.
yes, January 2017.
What were your expectations? Did you think you'd get called?
Honestly, I had no idea. It was a new experience for me. I didn't know what was going to happen. In about 2 weeks, my agency called me up and they're like, hey, we have a shoot for you. So I was like, okay, but it wasn't paid. They're like, this is just to build your book. We wanted to make sure you have some professional shots in
So
your
they were
in your
starting
book.
to do what some people do with their headshots beforehand.
Right. Just a little management.
Okay, so then what? Why don't we tell our audience a little bit of some of the gigs that you've been on? Because you've been very, very active. How often do you get called?
So I get called about 2 or 3 times a month. And when I first started, my very first job was for North Face, and we were just riding a skateboard down San Francisco, shooting the bag, making sure we get the logo in the shot. And then the next big job I got was North Face. Favorite shoot, it was at their headquarters in Alameda, and I'm actually going to do an internship with them in the summer. But I do print, I do commercial, and I've done a couple Runway just this year.
Let's explain what a runway is.
So Runway is,
It's not like the TV show.
it's not. It's really a really big production where, a designer or people have a certain collection of clothing or some kind of art piece that they want to display on people, humans, models, right? And so they hire up to 20 to 30 models, and they'll just say, wear this, look serious, walk down the runway.
Do they
let
teach you how to
everyone see.
walk?
They do. It's a pretty intense kind of thing. I had to walk about 40 to 50 times in just my agency's hallway until I got it right. Yeah.
And you were a track star, didn't you? When we prepped a little, you were a
Yes.
runner.
Yes. So
I guess it's not the basic run.
It's not. It's definitely about ignoring your surroundings and just being focused on your destination and getting back while being natural, but still like attentive and fast-paced. It's definitely a fast-paced walk. It's not your average grocery store walk. Yeah.
Now, I know that we did some prep before we began, but did you have any control of what you were wearing? What if you didn't like it? What if it looked stupid on you?
I've encountered that a couple times actually. Yeah.
Did you ever say anything, or can't you?
I personally just didn't say anything at the time. I'm here to do a job. I looked at it like, okay, I'm a canvas, and whoever's hiring me, the client, they have an image they want to project, and so I'm just there to adapt and I'm there to show what they want to have shown. Yeah.
Well, when we began our talk this evening, we were talking a little bit about part-time work. How many hours a month? If you get called twice a month, how many hours is involved in that?
About in 1 month, I'll work anywhere between 15 to 20 hours.
Well, that's not bad. Now, explain the difference to our audience between the compensation for working at a store, where you mentioned your sales were pretty good.
Yeah. I love talking to people, and so that really helped. The interpersonal skills, I feel like, in customer relations is important. But working a part-time job in retail is, I feel like, completely different, only because you're talking to people, and it's up to your enthusiasm to go and track down a customer and really have that conversation and be driven for a sale.
And as a model, you're not supposed to talk at all, probably.
Yeah, for modeling, it's just either you're smiling or they're having you look at the camera in a certain way. There's always a director on set, someone who has a way of projecting the image, in the pictures. And so usually I'm just not talking. I'm serious or I'm smiling, depending on if they want a commercial look.
And the difference in the compensation, would you say 3 times as much? Twice as much?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's about twice as much as working retail. Because I'm paid hourly, it depends on how long I work, but some clients will offer a medium day rate, and we can agree on that. And it really just depends on who the client is, what their budget is, and how long they want me to work for them.
Terrific. Let's remind our audience. Every time I do this, I feel like the shopping network, you know? Please call in. Amaryon Bates is here talking about his part-time job as a professional model. The phone number is 650-856-1491. Now, last month when I had someone here working part-time, I asked if people treated him differently. What about you? Would you say most of the people that you meet professionally are part-timers themselves, so you get treated equally? Do they bow down to the people who are full-time models? What do you think the sort of the pecking order is?
I feel like it goes by your experience,
Ah.
how long you've worked in the industry. There's photographers who do just client relations with clients, and they'll get a lot of jobs. There's models who will get a lot of jobs, but it really depends on how consistent you are. If you're going to all the castings, that's kind of like a job interview for a model. So you'll go into a room, and there'll be a bunch of models sitting out in line, and each person just gets looked at for about 20 seconds to a minute. Not that long, but you'll be in line probably all day sometimes, 10 minutes to 4 hours, and they see you, and then they're like, bye. And within an hour, you'll get an email or phone call if you got the job, and it's simple as that. Sometimes they'll have you do a video interview if you're shooting a commercial, but most of the time it's just they want to see how you look, and they'll fit you, and they'll see how you look in their clothes.
And they match you with people? If you're in a friend scene, do they put you with other people who are shorter or taller? Or
really, I think I've been in diverse shoots with different people. I've shot with a lot of women. I've shot with the cool kid scene where I'm riding a skateboard just with friends. I feel like I'm used as a diverse pedestal for a lot of businesses when I'm shooting.
Now, when you're in the casting room, in the hallway or the green room, can you tell who's going to get it and who doesn't? Do you ever find out who gets the gig? What's your track record? Can you tell?
I would have to say just this year, when I'm going on jobs, they only hire about 4 people, and they'll have a bunch of people in line. And I have gotten a lot of the jobs out of the castings I've gone to. In the beginning, I wasn't as confident in front of the camera, but I worked past that about 1 or 2 castings in, and I was able to get a lot of jobs. But when it comes down to other people, I feel like it's really if you're patient, and if you have good personal skills, and if you're just calm,
That was some of the
calm and confident. That's
some of the questions I wanted our audience to hear. What kind of qualities do you need to be a good model? Patience, because you're waiting all day.
Patience.
Confidence, you said.
Confidence. You have to be able to be versatile and adapt to the environment.
You've got to be very accommodating if people are pushing you around.
Definitely,
your hands and.
Yeah, no, definitely, because a lot of times I'm shooting outdoors, and that's, weather can be an issue. People, strangers, they want to get in the shot. It's a lot of different aspects. So you have to be able to just hold your composure the whole time. But then it's a different environment when you're shooting in a studio where you're on set. There might be props, but there's a backdrop, and it's a lot more of a clean-cut picture than the image is different. And so you have to be able to change.
And people skills?
Yeah. Your people, everyone there has a job, so you have to be able to be professional, but you have to talk to people. You can't just go in and be quiet. No one wants to be sitting around a boring guy who's not talking. You want to be able to just interact with people. I just try and make people laugh and try and make the vibe go smooth as possible.
Now, one of the things that I've always heard about people who are professional actors, I'd love to get a part-time actor on the show.
Yeah.
What about rejection? Do you take that seriously? Can you tell that you're going to get it or not going to get it, etc.?
Well, a lot of times I just cross my fingers and say a prayer quietly, I guess. You really don't know, because it's all about what the client wants, and sometimes it's non-disclosure, so you don't know who.
Can you ever get any feedback?
When you're doing the job, yes, you'll get.
We do have a caller. This is Dr. Business. How can I help you?
Hi, I wanted to commend the young man who's speaking today, because to go to work and also be in school is amazing. But I have a question. I wanted to know, how do you balance modeling, being in school, and also working a part-time job at a store? And also, what do you recommend for young people who are trying to start perhaps in the modeling business?
I like that question. Let's see how we do.
I think definitely to address the very last question, to get in the industry or to become a model, I feel like you just have to take pictures and be confident, and try and get exposed a little bit. Go online, search for casting calls in your area, and just go and take a shot, get out there. That's how you get your foot in the door.
Would
by meeting people.
networking help, like in the regular job? Let's say you saw some adorable creature and she wanted to be a model. Could you talk to your...
No, yeah, definitely. I think good word would probably be nepotism. I think building relationships and using your relationships helps you and can help your career move forward. I hope she's still online.
I'm sure she's on. Are you still with us?
Very helpful.
Oh, no, he wants to answer the rest of the questions. Don't go away. Stay with us. How does he manage the multitasking of the many jobs?
Right. You know, I think you have to be disciplined. You have to get a planner and set yourself reminders constantly. But it's really just about being on top, keeping a watch, and being on top of your own time and controlling it. And that's how you can plan out and do anything you want. Working a part-time job, going to school, you have to understand that you have homework and you have priorities. So it's definitely the aspect of analyzing what's important and what should come first.
It's good time management.
Yeah, and putting first things first.
Now tell me, are you still working at the store, or now you're just doing the part-time?
Currently just doing part-time.
Okay, so you've got two jobs, students and the part-time professional model job. If you wanted to talk a little bit while our guest is on the phone in terms of putting priorities, you're almost you have one more year less of school?
Yes, sir.
Let's say you get called to do a runway shoot in London and you have 3 final exams on the same day that you get called. What do you do?
That's a really good question. I think I would definitely try and talk to the professor and see if I can work out something, but that always doesn't work, and I'm really in a position where I think having my degree will help me no matter what and where I want to go in life. So I would personally just take the L, take the loss on the modeling, because school is important, and that's my #1 priority right now.
Thank you. Did that help you at all?
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and best of good luck to you. I'm so pleased you called in.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, we have a few moments left, about 10 minutes left, so if we have some other callers, I'm going to welcome them to join in. The phone number here is 856-1491, and our area code is 650. Let's talk a little bit about the modeling business long term. What do you think the shelf life of a model is? You know, I know we have Christy Brinkley, who's 62, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Is there a trend from being a young teenage model to going to be the gray-haired guy in the Cialis tub? I have no idea what they do.
I think there is. It's really up to if you want to create that career path for yourself, because a lot of people who grow up modeling, and a lot of examples I've seen are people who begin modeling at a young age and they want to expand their horizon and get into acting, so they might take an acting class and take a shot at that. So I think personally I'll probably continue modeling and continue independently contracting with it, but I think that's only one aspect of my identity and my professional career.
Well, let's talk about your future.
Yeah.
What is your major?
Finance major.
And what will you do you think, when you leave school?
I think I'll probably move out of San Francisco, and I want to just experience another country. You know, I've never been out of the country, but I believe, not just for modeling, but for a lot of aspects of learning about people and human
interactions. So you're going to give the modeling gig a chance?
I will, in another country, probably Milan or London. But I think I also want to learn about how other people live after I have my degree. And so I'll probably spend a couple years, even if it means joining the Peace Corps. I'm probably going to do whatever it takes to get out the country for about 2 or 3 years after I graduate.
Now, we didn't prep with this question, but do you think your modeling career will help you? Do you think when you go to look for a job at, let's say, one of the big, 7 accounting firms, and they see that you were a professional model, do you think that will help you or hinder you?
I think it'll help me. I think
Because?
it'll help me. Only because it's one part of the media training that I've been doing. I used to work for it's called the streetwear truck, and we sold clothes out of it, streetwear that just people created their own clothing lines and would put them in the truck on consignment, and we'd sell them.
It's like a food truck?
Just like a food truck, but with a giant closet in the inside.
I love it.
We played music, and so pretty much from that, we were able to get on the news a couple times. And I think having a career, being published, and showing recognition to hard work definitely will help me. I probably won't say, oh yeah, I'm just in front of the camera all the time. I'll probably use a different aspect of it.
It's certainly a conversation opener, like it has been this evening.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me take one more try. 650-856-1491. We have a few more moments with a delightful guest talking about his part-time job as a professional model, Amaryon Bates. Now, do you think that as a part-time worker, you're treated differently, or do they treat you the same? Is there any distinction? We talked a little bit about that before, but I was trying to take the angle about whether you think that you would try to do 2 jobs after you graduated. Would you try to do the same thing, for example?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely, I would say no. I would say for my agency, everyone would be part-time. A lot of people work hard and might have a career on the side. But what was the other question? Sorry.
About basically when you finish school,
Yeah.
will you just do only your job, or will you try to multitask again and continue this gig?
I think I'll continue juggling the modeling with other things I have going on. I'm a finance major, and if I go into the finance field, it would be a blessing if I can find a manager that can accommodate. It's not a full-time job, but I'm signed for 2 years, and this is only my first year, so if my second year really kicks off, I'll probably just continue the modeling and try other geographical areas. You know, LA is big, I hear, New York, so.
Now, we talked a little bit about having patience and being accommodating. Are there any other courses or classes or anything you think people could take to prepare them for a career in modeling, or even a part-time career?
Yeah, there's a lot of classes in modeling, and there's
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
You can just Google them. They're in San Francisco at small studios. It just will teach you how to be comfortable in front of the camera, how to talk and deliver. Just
What about the walk?
the walk, yeah.
What about the hat, the book on your head anymore? That's sort of like old-fashioned.
No,
They
yeah.
used to walk with the book on your head to make sure your
I don't
posture
know.
was
That's
good.
yeah. That's like you said. That's a little old-fashioned. I haven't heard of that one. I think there's a certain walk that they have in the runway aspect of modeling, and I think it's just about having your agent or whoever you're working for understand and help you and guide you. But I feel like it's that
never realized there were
101.
any classes you could take to be modeling.
Yeah, a lot of people who did professional modeling start classes for people who want to become a model, and that's important. That's like giving back, you know. But learning about it, I think it definitely, you can't just Google everything. You'd have to go and try it. I think the best way to learn is by experience.
Now, one of the things that I've talked about with people who are in the theatrical world is the whole concept of trying to create a play or get associated with. Would you recommend improvisational theater? Would you try to recommend an art class or psychology? Would
Yes.
you think psychology would be important in your business?
I think so. I do think so. Only because I've taken a class called Media and Society, and it really taught us about the psychology of how consumers and how your target market learns about what you want to present as a business person or as a business. And so I think psychology is a big part of it, because you have different markets and you have different people you're advertising to. So you want to understand how they think and how to deliver your message to them directly.
Well, it's interesting. One of the colleagues that I had in college was an actor, and every time he got rejected, he said, well, they wanted a blonde and I had black hair, or they wanted someone who was 7'3" and I was only. I don't know if that's the world of modeling, but in the theater, you don't know when you go to the shoot what they're looking for.
No,
I
you
guess as a guy, 21-year-old, you realize they're looking for a young man, but outside of that, you don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a different field in acting, you know, because I understand in acting you have a script, and so you have to be able to fall into character. Modeling, it's kind of the same thing, but without the emotions. You still want to be able to convey the message, but it's not a lot of verbal talking going on. You still have to be able to be in tune and have your emotional intelligence up to make it a believable scene, or be able to sell it the right way.
Now, we talked about rejection. We talked about the concept of how to get into the business. If you had to describe anything else that you think someone who's interested in this career or interested in part-time jobs, I like the time management skill, but what else would you recommend that they need to do to be able to balance the world of two opportunities?
Like I said, time management, and then being able to prioritize priorities. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing, if you're a student, you don't want to get a job that's during your classes. You want to be able to make sure everything just works accordingly, and you don't want to take a bite of something that you can't chew. Yeah.
Now tell us now what gigs you've had.
Okay.
Give us a list of what you've done, so hopefully we'll look for you.
So yeah, I've done JanSport ads.
JanSport.
North Face ads. I did a Samsung commercial over the summer, and then I recently did a music video for a German artist called Charming Horses, and they flew all the way out from Germany to shoot the video in San Francisco. I've done a couple print for Soma magazine, and I also did a print job for SF Chronicle, and that was big because I was all over their style section, and it reached
everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people saw it. A lot of people emailed me, and, hey, was that you in the magazine? Like, it was really good feeling. It was cool.
Well, my final question will be talking a little about the people you hang out with.
Okay.
One of the things I think people, when they take a job, is the social network. Do you think that you can find friends in the modeling business? Are they your kind of type of people? Have you had a chance to interact with them? Because I have a feeling they're different than the world of finance people, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute left, young man.
I come across a lot of creatives and a lot of people with abstract thinking. So I think everyone's different. And in the industry, I've came across some great people, amazing characters, you know. And sometimes the relationship will build and we'll just stay in contact. But it really depends on if the other person's there just to work or if the other person's there to also try and make friends. You know,
Well,
it's a really competitive thing.
I agree, and I think the difference is one's a little buttoned down and one's a little loose. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think working in a finance job, it's more of a conform job, and this is more of a creative position.
Well, our time is up, and I want to thank you for doing a great job.
Thanks for having
I want to
me.
remind our audience that we're back on November 16th. Part-Time Jobs continues. I want to wish everyone a happy Halloween and thank my crew for doing an absolutely wonderful job, and I'll see you all in November. Thanks so much.